There is a prison that holds more people captive than any walls of stone, any iron bars, any guarded gates. It is not built by governments or guarded by soldiers. It exists entirely in the mind, and yet it has kept more human beings from achieving their potential than any physical force in history. You cannot see it when you look in the mirror. You cannot feel it when you run your hands over your body, but it is there, shaping your decisions, limiting your vision, and quietly dictating the size of the life you live. This prison is made of beliefs, beliefs you never chose consciously, beliefs planted in you before you had the wisdom to question them. And unless you discover them, confront them, and replace them with truths you have tested and proven, they will remain there, quietly ensuring that you live far below your capacity. From the moment you were born, you were surrounded by voices. The voices of parents, teachers, neighbors, the media, all telling you what was possible, what was dangerous, what was respectable, and what was foolish. They did not mean to harm you. In most cases, they believed they were protecting you, but protection when taken too far becomes confinement. A child told again and again to be realistic may never dare to dream beyond the limits of their environment. A young person who hears that money is hard to get may never recognize the infinite value they can create in the marketplace. And a man or woman who is told that this is just the way the world is may never attempt to change it. These voices do not fade with time. They become your own inner voice, repeating the same limitations back to you until you accept them as reality. I call this the invisible warden. It is the part of your mind that enforces the rules you never signed, never examined, and never agreed to. And here is the cruel trick. The warden speaks in your own voice. It says, "I can't do that," or "That's not for people like me." And because it sounds like you believe it. The invisible warden keeps you inside your mental prison not by force but by agreement. It convinces you that the bars are there for your own good. It tells you that the unknown is dangerous, that trying and failing would be humiliating, that staying where you are is safer, and the longer you obey, the smaller your world becomes. Now, why is this so dangerous? Because your life expands or contracts to the limits of your thoughts. If you believe you cannot start a business, you will never start one. If you believe wealth is only for the lucky or the corrupt, you will find ways to sabotage your own financial growth. If you believe you are destined to repeat the struggles of your parents, you will unconsciously arrange your life to make it so. The human mind is an obedient servant. It will deliver to you whatever you truly expect, not what you wish for idly, but what you actually believe will happen. This is why two people can grow up in the same neighborhood, go to the same schools, have access to the same opportunities, and yet end up in entirely different worlds. One believed in possibilities, the other believed in limits. I want you to pause for a moment and examine one belief you hold about yourself that may be keeping you inside this prison. It might be about money. It might be about your intelligence. It might be about your worthiness to be loved, respected, or admired. Ask yourself, who told me this? How do I know it's true? Have I ever tested it? Most people never do this. They go through their entire lives defending the walls of their own prison, even as they suffer inside it. They will tell you, "I can't leave this job," or "I'm just not good with money," or "People like me never get ahead." And if you press them for proof, they will point to experiences that were themselves shaped by the very belief they're defending. It's a perfect loop, and it keeps the prison locked. The first step to freedom is awareness. You must see the bars before you can break them. You must name the warden before you can challenge him. And this is not a comfortable process. It will require you to confront parts of yourself you have avoided for years. It will require you to admit that some of the reasons you've given for your current situation are not reasons at all, but excuses dressed up as logic. This is where courage comes in, the courage to see yourself honestly and the courage to rewrite the rules you live by. Once you recognize a limiting belief, the next step is to replace it, not with blind optimism, but with a law, a statement of truth that you will write down, speak out loud, and commit to living by until it becomes as natural to you as breathing. This is how you reprogram the mind. This is how you dismiss the invisible warden. And make no mistake, it will resist. The old belief will try to reassert itself. It will whisper to you in moments of doubt. But if you persist, repeating your new truth, proving it through action, the old walls will crumble. I would like you to take out a piece of paper right now and write this down. I am the architect of my mind. I am free from fear, limitation, and doubt. Read it once. Then say it out loud. Speak it with the authority of someone reclaiming their own name. The first time you say it, it might feel strange. The second time it might feel bold. But keep going until it feels true. The moment it feels true, the warden has lost his hold on you. You see, the mental prison is not a fixed structure. It exists only as long as you agree to its rules. The moment you stop agreeing, the bars dissolve. You can step outside at any time, and the world outside is richer, wider, and more inviting than you have been led to believe. But you must take the first step. No one can do it for you. Not your friends, not your family, not even me. I can hand you the key, but you must be the one to turn it. In the next moments, we will explore how this prison came to be built in the first place, how it is maintained by the very society that claims to value freedom, and how you can not only escape it yourself, but help others to do the same. But for now, hold on to the truth you've just claimed. I am the architect of my mind. I am free from fear, limitation, and doubt. That is the first crack in the wall. Widen it, walk through it, and never go back. The walls of this prison are built early, often before you can even speak in full sentences. From your earliest days, you are absorbing the rules of the world, not from deliberate teaching, but from the constant drip of example and repetition. You notice how adults react to money, whether they treat it with fear, secrecy, or celebration. You notice what gets rewarded in your household, whether it's obedience, curiosity, caution, or risk. These impressions are not processed with logic at the time. They go straight into the subconscious, where they form the bedrock of your personal reality. If your parents worried aloud every month about bills, you may have taken that worry as a permanent condition of life. If they told you that people who have a lot of money must have done something shady, you may have built a belief that wealth is incompatible with integrity. And so, without realizing it, you begin to live under laws you never wrote. These unchosen laws become the operating system of your life. They influence every decision, every risk you take or avoid, every opportunity you recognize or ignore. You may think you're making free choices, but you're really acting out a script that was written years ago. And here's the catch: the script doesn't just tell you what to do, it tells you who you are. If the script says you are not the kind of person who can lead, you will sabotage leadership opportunities before they start. If the script says you don't deserve much, you will unconsciously turn away abundance when it appears. These rules operate in the background like a hidden program, quietly determining the limits of your existence. What makes this so insidious is that you are rewarded for obeying these invisible laws. Society loves a person who stays within the expected lines. You get praise for being reasonable, for not rocking the boat, for staying in your lane. But every time you obey these limits without questioning them, the walls grow thicker. You reinforce the prison with your own compliance. And the more you comply, the more your life matches the script, and the more convinced you become that the script is reality. This is why some people will argue passionately in defense of their own limitations. They are not defending the truth, they are defending their comfort with the prison they know. Now I want to give you a tool, something you can use today, something that begins to loosen the grip of these hidden rules. When you catch yourself saying, "I can't," I want you to stop and ask, according to who? Say it out loud if you have to. That one question cuts directly to the heart of the programming. According to who forces you to trace the thought back to its source. Was it something a parent said 30 years ago? Was it a single failure you experienced in school? Was it the opinion of someone you don't even respect? Most of the time, you'll find that the source of the rule is not a timeless truth, but an inherited fear or outdated opinion. And once you see it clearly, it begins to lose its authority. In this process, you will also discover a strange but liberating truth. Most of the limits you obey have no actual enforcement in the real world. No one is stopping you from starting that business, asking for that promotion, or learning that skill. No one is actually forbidding you from earning more money or living in a better neighborhood. The prison doesn't have guards, it has agreements, and agreements can be broken. The moment you decide to withdraw your consent, you are free. But freedom is uncomfortable at first, because it removes the excuse of the walls. Out in the open, you must take full responsibility for where you go and what you do. And here is where the second law of mental freedom comes in, a law I encourage you to write down and keep where you can see it. I am the sole author of my destiny. I choose the rules I live by. This is not a statement of rebellion for its own sake. It is a recognition that if you do not choose your own rules, someone else already has, and the chances are high that those rules were written for their benefit, not yours. So write it down now. Say it aloud. Feel the weight of it. You are not a character in someone else's script. You are the writer. You can delete entire scenes. You can change the ending. Once you accept authorship of your life, you begin to look at every area differently. Your job is no longer what you've always done, it's a choice. Your habits are not just who you are, they are practices you have been rehearsing, practices you can replace. Your relationships are not just the way they are agreements that can be renegotiated or ended. This perspective is both empowering and challenging because it removes the comfort of helplessness. When you are the author, you can no longer say, "That's just the way it is." You must either write it differently or admit that you are choosing the story as it stands. Some will resist this. They will say, "But you don't understand my situation," as though their circumstances are somehow exempt from the laws of the mind. But the mind does not care about your excuses. It responds to your dominant thoughts, your repeated beliefs, your consistent actions. If those are aligned with growth, your world will expand, no matter where you start. If they are aligned with fear, your world will contract, no matter how much opportunity surrounds you. This is why changing the script is not an abstract idea, it is a practical necessity. The truth is, every person listening to my voice has the same choice: to live by default or to live by design, to accept the script handed to them or to write one that serves their highest purpose. There is no middle ground. The so-called neutral path is simply drifting under the control of the old program, and drifting never leads to freedom. You do not drift out of a prison. You walk out deliberately, consciously, with your eyes open and your new rules in hand. So write it again, say it again. I am the sole author of my destiny. I choose the rules I live by. Let it become more than words. Let it become the lens through which you see every choice, every habit, every relationship, because once you own the pen, you own the ending. And that is where the real escape begins. If you have begun to see yourself as the author of your destiny, you have already taken a step that most people will never take in their entire lives. You have moved from being a passive recipient of circumstance to an active creator of your reality. But authorship alone is not enough. A blank page is useless if you don't know how to write a story worth living. And here lies the next hidden truth about the mental prison. Even when the bars are gone, the habit of thinking small will try to pull you back inside. The prison leaves its mark. It teaches you to plan for survival, not for abundance, to expect obstacles, not opportunities, to move cautiously, not boldly. You may have removed the old rules, but if you don't install new empowering laws in their place, the void will be filled by the same old fears. Every lasting change in life begins with a new mental blueprint. Without it, you will drift back into old territory because the mind always seeks the familiar. Imagine a ship that leaves port without a destination. No matter how well built it is, no matter how skilled the crew, it will wander aimlessly, eventually returning to the same shores it left. This is how most lives are lived, not by design but by default. And if the default program is the one given by your upbringing, your environment, or your past failures, it will rebuild the prison brick by brick without you even noticing. This is why you must replace every dismantled belief with a clear, deliberate vision. Now, a vision is not just a vague wish for a better life. It is a picture so clear in your mind that it begins to pull you toward it, almost like a magnet. It contains the details: how you live, how you carry yourself, what you contribute, how you are compensated, the people you associate with, the places you spend your time. The clearer you make this vision, the stronger it becomes. And here's the extraordinary part. The mind begins to work as if the vision is already real. It will scan your environment for opportunities, connections, and ideas that align with the picture you have been feeding it. This is not magic. It is the natural result of focus. You move toward what you think about most. But the vision alone is still not enough. It must be backed by laws, personal, unbreakable statements of identity that align your daily behavior with the future you see. This is the third law of mental freedom, and I want you to write it down. I live as the person I intend to become now. Not someday, not when the conditions are perfect, but now. This is the law that collapses the gap between where you are and where you want to be. It forces your actions, your habits, your decisions to rise to the level of the life you envision, and the world, seeing this consistent alignment, begins to respond in kind. You may wonder how this works in practice. Let's say your vision is to be a successful entrepreneur running a company that impacts thousands of lives. Living that law means you don't wait until you have the company to think and act like its leader. You begin leading in small ways now, managing your time as though it were $1 million asset, seeking knowledge as though every lesson could change your bottom line, making decisions with the same clarity you would need if hundreds of employees depended on you. If your vision is to be financially independent, you don't wait until you have the money to think like a steward of wealth. You begin managing every dollar, avoiding unnecessary debt, and investing in your own skills now. What this does is simple but profound. It rewires your identity. And identity is the foundation of behavior. You can try to change your life by forcing yourself into new habits, But if those habits are out of alignment with who you believe yourself to be, they will not last. When you live as the person you intend to become, your habits feel natural, inevitable, even necessary. They are no longer a burden, they are a reflection of who you are. And the more consistently you do this, the more the world adjusts to meet the standard you have set for yourself. Of course, this law requires discipline, and discipline is the part most people avoid. They want the vision without the work, the freedom without the responsibility. But remember, discipline is the key that keeps the prison door open. Without it, you will drift back inside and close the door behind you. Discipline is not punishment, it is the structure that allows freedom to last. Every morning, you live by your law, you reinforce your freedom. Every day you compromise it, you weaken the foundation. This is why I say to live by law, not by mood. Your mood will change, your law must not. Now I want you to see this clearly. You are not pretending to be someone you are not. You are practicing being the person you truly are without the limits that have been placed on you. There is nothing false about it. In fact, it is the truest thing you can do. Pretending is what you have been doing under the old program. Pretending to be smaller than you are, pretending to be satisfied with less than you desire, pretending the prison was your home. Living as the person you intend to become is not pretending, it is reclaiming. So, write it now, say it aloud. I live as the person I intend to become now. Repeat it until you feel the weight of it settle into your mind. Let it guide you when you make decisions. Let it question your excuses. Let it raise your standards. And remember, the more you practice this law, the more the outside world will begin to mirror it back to you. Opportunities will appear, relationships will shift, and your environment will start to reflect the identity you have chosen. Your freedom is not just the absence of the prison, it is the presence of a new reality, one that you have designed, authored, and embodied. And with each day you live by your vision and your laws, that reality becomes unshakable. This is how you move from escape to mastery. Most people never reach mastery because they underestimate the persistence of the old program. Even after you have declared yourself the author of your destiny, even after you have begun living as the person you intend to become, there will be moments when the old voice returns. It will come disguised as practicality, as caution, as the advice of well-meaning friends and family. It will whisper that you are moving too fast, that you should wait for a better time, that you should not risk what you already have. This is the echo of the prison, and if you mistake it for wisdom, it will pull you back inside. That is why we must now address the fourth law of mental freedom, a law that protects the progress you have made from being dismantled by fear. Fear is the prison's most loyal guard. It does not need facts to do its work. It operates on imagination. It paints pictures of worst-case scenarios, then convinces you they are inevitable. It takes the unknown and fills it with shadows. And because the mind reacts to vividly imagined danger almost as strongly as to real danger, you begin to shrink back, to hesitate, to retreat into what feels safe. But safety, in this sense, is an illusion. Staying inside the known may protect you from certain risks, but it exposes you to the far greater risk of stagnation, regret, and wasted potential. That is why this law must be engraved into your thinking. I am unafraid of growth. I choose progress over comfort. I want you to write that down now. Say it slowly. Let it settle. Progress will never feel comfortable at the start because it requires stepping into the unknown. But the unknown is not your enemy. It is the territory where your future exists. Everything you want but do not yet have lies beyond the line of your current experience. To get it, you must cross that line. And every time you do, you expand the range of what feels normal. What once terrified you becomes routine. What once seemed impossible becomes your new starting point. The most dangerous form of fear is not the kind that makes you panic. It's the quiet kind, the reasonable kind, the kind that feels like common sense. It sounds like, let's just wait until next year, or I'll try once I'm more prepared. These thoughts feel safe because they are not a direct no, they are just delays. But enough delays and years will pass. The prison does not always slam its door shut. Sometimes it simply distracts you until you forget that the door was open at all. That is why fear must be recognized immediately and challenged on the spot. Ask yourself, is this fear warning me of real danger or just keeping me inside my comfort zone? 90% of the time, it's the latter. Here is a practice I want you to adopt. Every time you notice fear stopping you from taking an action that aligns with your vision, pause and say out loud, "This is growth. I will not turn back." Then take the smallest possible step forward in that moment. If it's a phone call you're avoiding, dial the number. If it's a decision you're delaying, make the choice. If it's an opportunity you're doubting, take the first step toward it. Action is the antidote to fear, and small actions compound into courage. Some will ask, but what if I fail? That question is the prison speaking again. Failure is not a wall, it is a mirror. It shows you where your preparation was lacking, where your strategy can improve, where your resilience must be strengthened. Every failure that comes in pursuit of growth is not a setback. It is part of the construction of your new reality. The only true failure is refusing to act. Write this down and remember it. Inaction is the real loss. Fear is only a signal. When you live by this law, something remarkable happens. Fear loses its authority. It may still appear, but it no longer dictates your choices. You begin to see it for what it really is, a sign that you are on the edge of expansion. The moments you feel it most strongly are often the moments just before a breakthrough. In that sense, fear becomes a guide. It shows you exactly where the next growth opportunity lies. You stop avoiding it and start seeking it, because you know that beyond it is the life you have been working to create. The prison cannot survive in the presence of courage. Every courageous act is like removing another stone from the wall. And courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to act in spite of it. By practicing this over and over, you develop what I call mental immunity. You stop being thrown off course by temporary discomfort. You begin to trust yourself at a deeper level because you have proven through repeated experience that you will not abandon your vision when fear appears. So write the law again. I am unafraid of growth. I choose progress over comfort. Say it when you wake up in the morning. Say it before you take a step that scares you. Let it become the standard you measure yourself by. Because the day you choose progress over comfort, even in the smallest of ways, is the day you leave the prison behind for good. Look around at the people in your life. Ask yourself honestly, do they strengthen your vision, or do they chip away at it? Are they planting seeds of possibility, or seeds of doubt? If you surround yourself with people who complain constantly, who laugh at your ambitions, who feed you reasons why something won't work, you are giving them free access to your most valuable asset, your mind. And if you listen long enough, you will start to repeat their beliefs as your own. The prison is rebuilt not by force, but by conversation, by agreement, by small compromises of thought that seem harmless in the moment, but are devastating over time. Freedom from the mental prison is not just about tearing down walls, it is about building a fortress of thought that protects your mind from ever being captured again. Once you have taken ownership of your destiny, begun living as your future self, and chosen progress over comfort, you must turn your attention to the quality of what you allow into your mind. Because the truth is, most people escape the prison only to wander into a minefield of noise, distraction, and mental clutter that eventually pushes them back inside. This is why the fifth law of mental freedom is about guarding the gates, deciding with deliberate intention what influences you will permit to shape your thinking. Your mind is like fertile soil. Every word you hear, every image you see, every conversation you entertain, every piece of information you consume is a seed planted in that soil. If you do not choose the seeds, the world will choose them for you. And the world in its current state will plant weeds, fear, comparison, triviality, outrage, because those are the crops that keep people distracted and controllable. This is why you must decide what grows in your mental garden. If you are not intentional about this, the weeds will take over, no matter how strong your vision once was. And here's the dangerous part. Weeds grow faster than good seeds. They spread easily, requiring no effort on your part, only neglect. The fifth law is this: I guard my mind as my most precious asset. I decide what I let in. Write it down now. Say it aloud. Feel the weight of responsibility in it, because once you accept that you are the gatekeeper, you can no longer blame anyone else for the seeds that grow in your mind. You become accountable for the books you read, the shows you watch, the conversations you entertain, the social media you scroll through. And accountability is power, because it means you can change the input at any time. The same is true for the information you consume. Much of what passes for news today is not information designed to inform, but content designed to alarm. It's crafted to trigger your emotions, to keep you watching, scrolling, refreshing, never thinking deeply, never building, never advancing. If you feed your mind a steady diet of fear and conflict, your mental environment will mirror that chaos. You will begin to make decisions based on avoidance rather than aspiration. And without realizing it, you will shrink back toward the safety of the familiar, even if the familiar is a prison. This is not about living in isolation or avoiding all opposing viewpoints. It is about discernment, choosing sources that strengthen your vision, challenge you to grow, and feed your belief in what is possible. It is about surrounding yourself with people whose default mode is solution, not complaint. It is about choosing conversations that inspire action rather than drain your energy. When you make these choices deliberately, you create a mental environment in which your vision can thrive without being choked out by weeds. I encourage you to do a mental audit. For 1 week, track every significant input into your mind. What did you read, watch, listen to, discuss? How did each one make you feel afterward? Did it leave you energized or depleted, focused or scattered, determined or doubtful? This simple awareness exercise can be a revelation. You will quickly see patterns. Certain inputs consistently align you with your vision, while others pull you off course. Once you see it, act on it. Remove the influences that weaken you, even if they are familiar, even if they come from people you care about. Your mind is too valuable to be left unguarded out of politeness or habit. So write it again with conviction. I guard my mind as my most precious asset. I decide what I let in. Make it the standard for every interaction, every piece of media, every conversation. Because when you protect the quality of what enters your mind, you protect the quality of what comes out, your decisions, your actions, your results, and ultimately your freedom. Understand this. Your outer results will always match the quality of your inner environment. If your mind is filled with distraction, negativity, and noise, your life will reflect that in unfocused effort and inconsistent results. If your mind is filled with clarity, confidence, and purpose, your life will reflect that in deliberate action and meaningful progress. You cannot escape this cause and effect relationship. It is as unchanging as gravity, and it is why guarding the gates of your mind is not a suggestion, it is a necessity. The prison you were born into was built on a foundation of unconscious agreements, but it is sustained by one force above all others, your habits. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you are rehearsing either freedom or captivity. The things you do without thinking, the patterns you repeat without question, are shaping the structure of your life more than any single decision you make in a moment of inspiration. This is why people can hear a life-changing idea, feel a surge of motivation, and still end up exactly where they were a year later. The motivation fades, but the habits remain. And if those habits belong to the prison, they will pull you back inside no matter how many times you try to escape. This is why the sixth law of mental freedom is not about emotion, it is about discipline. Discipline is often misunderstood. People think of it as punishment, as deprivation, as the absence of joy. But discipline is simply the deliberate choice to act in alignment with your vision rather than your moods. Your moods will change with the weather, with the news, with the smallest inconvenience. If you let them dictate your actions, your life will be erratic at best, self-destructive at worst. Discipline removes that chaos. It turns your actions into a steady march toward your chosen destination, regardless of how you feel in the moment. And that steadiness is what compounds over time into results so powerful, people will call you lucky without realizing the truth. The sixth law is this: I live by principle, not by mood. Write it down now, say it slowly. Let it sink in. This law is the anchor that keeps you from drifting back toward old patterns. It is the filter through which every choice must pass. When you wake up in the morning and you don't feel like pursuing your vision, this law reminds you that feelings are not the deciding factor, principles are. When the world presents you with distractions, temptations, or opportunities that don't align with your purpose, this law gives you the clarity to say no without hesitation. To live by principle means you define your non-negotiables in advance. These are the actions, routines, and standards you commit to no matter what. They might include daily exercise to strengthen your body, dedicated time for learning to sharpen your mind, financial discipline to secure your future, or consistent work on your craft to build your value. You don't debate them every day, you don't renegotiate them when you're tired or busy. You execute them because they are part of who you are, not because they feel convenient in the moment. This is the difference between amateurs and professionals, between those who wish and those who achieve. I want you to imagine two roads. On one, you move forward only when you feel inspired. The path is scattered with pauses, detours, and backtracking. You might make progress, but it is slow, inconsistent, and easily undone. On the other road, you move forward every day according to a clear set of principles regardless of mood. Some days you take big strides, some days small steps, but you never stop moving. Over a year, over 5 years, over a decade, the difference in distance traveled is staggering. That is the power of discipline anchored in principle. And here's the truth most people avoid. Living by principle will require you to sacrifice comfort on a regular basis. You will need to wake up earlier than you want, work longer than you feel like, delay gratification when the easier option is right in front of you. This is not because life is cruel, it's because growth demands energy, and energy must be directed. Every hour you give to comfort is an hour taken from your vision. Every decision made to avoid temporary discomfort is a decision to extend your stay in the prison. The beauty of this law is that the sacrifice never feels permanent. In fact, the more you live by principle, the more satisfying it becomes. You begin to take pride in your consistency. You start to enjoy the process as much as the results. Discipline stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like an identity, because that is exactly what it becomes. You are no longer a person who sometimes acts in alignment with their vision. You are a person who always does. And that shift in identity is what makes freedom sustainable. Of course, living by principle requires that you know your principles in the first place. Many people skip this step, which is why their discipline fades. So take the time to define them now. Write them down, keep them visible. Make them so clear that when temptation comes, and it will, you can measure it instantly against your standards. If it doesn't align, it doesn't get your time, your energy, or your attention. This clarity will save you from countless wasted hours, broken commitments, and costly mistakes. So write it again and speak it with authority. I live by principle, not by mood. Let it become the voice that answers every excuse. Let it become the standard that shapes every habit. Because when your daily actions are aligned with unshakable principles, no prison, mental or otherwise, can hold you. You will not just escape, you will rise so far above the walls that you forget they were ever there. The seventh law is this: I live with definite purpose and unshakable direction. Write it, say it, keep it in front of you. A definite purpose gives meaning to your sacrifices, clarity to your decisions, and endurance to your discipline. Without it, even the strongest habits will feel hollow. With it, even the hardest work becomes meaningful. You will find that you are willing to endure discomfort, risk, and even failure when the outcome matters enough. Purpose turns obstacles into stepping stones and setbacks into lessons. Breaking free from the mental prison is not only about what you remove from your life, but also about what you create within it. The absence of limitation is not the same as the presence of purpose. You can strip away false beliefs, guard your mind, and live by principle. But without a compelling reason to keep moving forward, your progress will slow, your vision will blur, and the comfort of the familiar will begin to tempt you back. This is why the seventh law of mental freedom is about direction. A ship without a rudder will drift, even on calm seas, and the human mind without a definite purpose will do the same. It will be pulled by every current of distraction, every wave of doubt, every tide of other people's priorities. To remain free, you must set your own course and keep it. Purpose is not something you stumble upon by accident. It is something you decide. Many people waste years waiting for their calling to reveal itself, as though it were a message carved into stone somewhere in the mountains, waiting to be discovered. But purpose is forged, not found. It begins with a choice to dedicate your life to a cause, a craft, or a contribution that matters deeply to you. And it is sharpened by action, by showing up for it daily, by learning, by improving, by persisting when it tests your patience. Your purpose will not hand itself to you fully formed. It will take shape as you walk toward it. But you must start walking now. Of course, there will be days when your purpose feels distant, when the results seem slow, when you question whether the effort is worth it. This is when direction matters most. The purpose is the destination. The direction is the daily path. Even when the road feels long, even when progress is invisible, you must keep moving forward. The law does not say, I live with purpose when it's easy. It says, I live with definite purpose and unshakable direction. That means no drifting, no waiting for conditions to be perfect, no retreating into old habits just because the new ones feel hard. When you live with definite purpose, your days stop feeling random. Every choice is measured against your destination. If it moves you closer, it stays. If it pulls you away, it goes. This clarity removes the fog that keeps so many people trapped in indecision. You no longer waste energy wondering what to do next, because your purpose decides for you. And the more you align your life with it, the more momentum you create. Opportunities begin to find you, because the world recognizes consistency and rewards those who live by it. To define your purpose, start by asking 3 questions. What do I want to build or create in this lifetime? Who will it serve or impact? And what am I willing to give in exchange for it? These questions are simple, but answering them honestly will require courage. They will strip away the superficial goals, the ones borrowed from other people's expectations, and reveal the vision that truly belongs to you. And once you have your answers, you must commit to them with finality. Purpose cannot be treated like a hobby. It must be elevated to the status of law in your life, something you do not abandon when it becomes inconvenient. Your purpose is not only your guide, it is your protection. It keeps you from being pulled into battles that don't matter, from chasing goals that won't fulfill you, from wasting years on paths that lead nowhere. The mental prison loves a person without purpose because they are easy to distract, easy to influence, easy to control. But when your direction is unshakable, you become difficult to manipulate. Your time and energy are claimed by something higher, and the prison's invitations fall on deaf ears. So write the law again. I live with definite purpose and unshakable direction. Let it become your compass. Let it speak louder than fear, louder than doubt, louder than the noise of the world. Because once you know where you're going and why, the walls of the prison are not just behind you. They are invisible in your rearview mirror. And there is nothing ahead but open sky. Freedom, in its truest form, is not merely the absence of chains. It is the deliberate construction of a life that no chain could ever hold. You have walked through the open door of the mental prison. You have claimed authorship over your destiny. You have lived as your future self, chosen progress over comfort, guarded your mind, anchored your actions in principle, and set your course with unshakable purpose. But there is one final law that ensures your freedom is not only kept but multiplied. That law is contribution, because the surest way to remain free is to use your freedom to free others. The mental prison shrinks when the light of truth is shared, and the moment you help someone else see their own invisible walls, you reinforce your own. The eighth law is this: I rise by lifting others, and my success is magnified by my service. Write it down, say it aloud, let it settle in your mind as both a responsibility and a privilege. Contribution is not just about charity or occasional acts of kindness. It is about intentionally using your gifts, your knowledge, and your example to improve the lives of others. When you contribute, you anchor your growth in something bigger than yourself. Your vision gains depth, your purpose gains urgency, and your freedom gains strength because it is no longer dependent solely on your own willpower. It is fueled by the lives you touch. Contribution changes the way you approach your work. It transforms business into service, success into stewardship, achievement into legacy. You begin to see your skills not just as tools for personal gain, but as instruments that can build, inspire, and liberate. And this shift has a remarkable side effect. The more you focus on creating value for others, the more value returns to you. Opportunities, relationships, and resources flow naturally toward those who consistently make themselves valuable. It is a law as certain as gravity: give more, grow more. But contribution is also the most effective safeguard against returning to the prison because it keeps you outward focused. The prison thrives on self-absorption, on constant comparison, on dwelling in your own fears and limitations. When your attention is fixed on serving others, those fears shrink. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "How can I help?" And in answering that question, you discover courage you didn't know you had. Service pulls you forward when self-interest alone might let you stall. Now, contribution does not mean overextending yourself or sacrificing your own vision to please everyone. It means finding the overlap between what you are uniquely able to offer and what others truly need. It means creating in such a way that your success becomes a rising tide that lifts others with you. And it means understanding that your story, your escape from the prison, is not just for you. Someone is still inside waiting for the sound of your voice, the sight of your example, the proof that it can be done. I want you to take a moment and think of 3 people in your life who could benefit from what you've learned on this journey. They might be struggling with the same fears you've faced, trapped by the same beliefs you've broken, or unaware that a door even exists. Make it your mission to share something with them, not to lecture, not to convince, but to plant a seed. That seed might not sprout immediately, but it will be there waiting for the moment they are ready to grow. And in planting it, you will feel your own freedom deepen. The final piece is to live in such a way that your life itself becomes a message. People believe what they see. When they watch you living with clarity, discipline, purpose, and generosity, they will take notice. They may not say anything at first, but they will be watching. And one day they may ask how you did it. That is your opportunity to hand them the key. The prison does not fall in one day, but each person who walks out weakens its hold on the rest. So write it one more time. I rise by lifting others, and my success is magnified by my service. Let it be the thread that weaves through every decision you make from here on. Let it remind you that freedom grows when it is shared, that abundance multiplies when it circulates, and that the highest use of your life is to make life better for others. When you live this way, the prison is not just behind you, it begins to vanish from the world entirely. And so, as we close this journey, remember the laws you have claimed. Speak them, live them, pass them on, because the mental prison they never told you about was never as strong as you believed, and the key was in your hand the whole time. Use it well and use